Namaste, this is Sacredowl with another Real Talk by Sacredowl. Today I want to talk to you about communication. But there are people out there, and in communicating, there's a need to be right instead of being clear. And we need to talk about that. A lot of people in our culture, in our ways, especially with couples and co-workers and all that, people work hard to be right instead of being clear. So what does that mean? In communicating, we express our point, we want to say what we want to say, but we need to be right. We need to look for validation for what we're saying, and we work hard to being right instead of being clear. And what happens is that as we're growing up, our environment, society, our family, it doesn't matter, teaches us to be competitively right instead of trying to be very, very clear. What does that mean? If a parent that's co-parenting children, one parent says one thing and the other parent says another thing, then both parents, because children do this, they'll pit both parents against each other, because they'll ask one parent one question and that parent will say no, and they'll go to the other parent and the other parent will say yes, and then all of a sudden it becomes a battle of who's right instead of being who's clear. And in that moment, the child itself manipulated the situation so that it could get its answer that it wants. And I'm not mad at the kid, because that's what kids do and that's what children do. Hey, that's the way it is. And the crazy thing is, not just children do that, people at work do that, co-workers do that, people in friendships do that. They go and try to find the answer they want, and then they pit one person against the other. So what happens is it becomes a battle of being right instead of being a goal of being clear. You want to work towards clarity. Clarity is the thing that will make you feel safe and comfortable. But when you're battling, now you're gambling something that's not worth gambling. Guess what that is? That's your validation. You're putting your validation on the line because I want to be right. I want to make sure that you don't know what you're talking about, and you are wrong because I am right. And that, when you do that, the clarity goes right out the window, just flies right away. And all of a sudden, now we have a battle instead of a goal. Communication should always be goal-based, based on goals, not on right or wrong. When you start to communicate and you want to be right or you want to be wrong, that's the first sign that you should say, let me stop right now and let me stop talking. Because now this thing called ego steps into place, and once ego gets into place, it drops down from the sensibility into the heart, and now it becomes a battle of wills. And we start to push back and push forward and push back. And now we're not being clear. We're being, I need to be right. Your need to be right is not more important than the need to be clear with another person. Being clear is a goal that should be always placed in any communication. When I speak to my beautiful wife, my beautiful soulmate, the one I love to death, when I speak to her, one thing we both say to each other before we get into a conversation that might be just a little, a little rough, I said, what is our goal? And she'll come to me and say, what is our goal? And I said, our goal is to be clear. And so once we set that in motion, we have a conversation, and we know the minute one of us needs to be right, we need to stop for a moment, take a time out, back up, maybe approach the conversation later, or leave it alone. You want to be clear. You want to be clear with your children, your co-workers, your friends, people you walk in the street. Just be clear. Like when you walk up to a store, let's say you go to a fast food restaurant and you order a hamburger and fries, and you like your hamburger with ketchup but no mayonnaise, no lettuce, and salt and pepper, and you want your fries without salt. That's being clear. Now, is the person that's taking the order being clear, receptive to it? Well, it all depends on each individual. But if you get your order wrong, obviously they weren't clear, and now you got to take it back and make sure that they fix it. If people spent more time trying to understand clarity as a goal in communication, we wouldn't have all the stress and anxiety that we go through. Just like a stoplight says stop, a stop sign says stop. A yellow light doesn't mean speed up, it means slow down. But we are not always clear about that because we have to get to where we got to go. Listen, avoid all the problems, make your goals clear, and you'll always be right. You see? Nice trick. Love you because I'm clear. Peace.